Hare Krishna, welcome to all the devotees to our class on Shloka memorization, which is a part of our Srimad Bhagavatam study classes. So we spent some time to learn various important verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. As you know, Srimad Bhagavatam is a work of poetry, and while we are understanding the deeper meaning of each chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, we are also trying to capture the uh, science behind the poetry, trying to learn the verses so that we can appreciate both the knowledge part as well as the beauty part which comes from the poetry. So, in overall, this is our eighth class today, and today we will be discussing the 11th verse of fifth chapter of the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll start with the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatya Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we will start the session by briefly understanding one another reason why we should learn shlokas. So far we have covered six reasons why we should learn shlokas. So I'm not going to revise them. You can go back and look at our previous videos on shloka memorization available on YouTube on Gita Online Study. And today we will discuss briefly the seventh reason why we should learn shlokas or verses. And that reason is savior in difficult times. Savior in difficult times means that if we know a verse, a shloka from the scriptures, then if the verse is there in our memory, then when we are facing some difficult times, maybe we are going through a street and there are some dogs around and we feel fearful. Maybe we are traveling in a plane and there is a turbulence going on and our heart sinks because of that turbulence and we feel fearful. Or maybe there is some other reason we feel frightened, we feel depressed, we feel low, etc. etc. So if the verse is fixed up in our memory, then it help us take shelter of the Lord. Shelter of the Lord means that when we recite the words, it help us calm down, it help us in remembering the Lord, it help us divert our attention towards something very positive, something very beautiful. And when we do so, we feel much better, we feel enlightened, we feel enlivened, etc. etc. And this is, I was talking about some dangers which are uh, not so, I would say, severe, but the ultimate danger in our life would be the danger of death. And if we can remember at that time, if we are practiced enough throughout our life, remembering shlokas, reciting shlokas, remembering the Lord, so at the time of death, these verses which are organically going on in the background in our memory help us remember the Lord. And if at the time of death we can remember the Lord, that help us reach the Lord. Antakale chamameva smaran muktva kalevaram, as Gita mentions. So remembering the Lord becomes much easier if we keep learning prayers. So this is another reason, another good reason why we should make this as a habit to memorize, learn and recite verses, shlokas from the scriptures. So how to learn shlokas? We cover this slide in every class. Uh, the formula which I recommend is very simple. We should identify the meter, what meter or what chand is used to write that verse. know the meaning of that verse, individual words of the verse, collective meaning of each of these lines of the verse. So when we have good understanding of the meaning, then the remembering the words becomes much easier. And then uh, apart from identifying the meter, if we don't know the meter, then if we hear the verse from an experienced reciter who knows the melody, we can learn the melody from the speaker and then try to repeat the melody ourselves as we hear from the speaker, like we learn Hindi songs or English songs uh, on a day-to-day basis. Similarly for verses also. So today's verse is the 11th verse of the 5th chapter of the first canto, a very important verse. We have recently completed the study of this 5th chapter, so I hope the devotees would know in what context this was spoken. This is talking about the verse where Srila Narad Muni is advising Srila Vyasdev that uh, the literature which is written in the glorification of the Lord, in order to glorify, in order to beautify the Lord, that kind of literature is very much appreciated. But if the literature is having everything else but no glorification of the Lord, that literature is actually not very good. So this is that verse. Uh, Tadvag visargo janatagha viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadhyavatyapi नामान्यनन्तस्य यशो अंकितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृणन्ति साधवा. Now let me ask one of the devotees in the class, how many syllables do you see in this verse? Can someone count the number of syllables in this verse?
I think 12, Prabhu.
Very nice, Prabhuji. 12 syllables.
Yeah.
So let me once again help. One, ta one, dwa two, v three, sa four, go five, six,
Yeah.
7, 8, 9,
9,
v
10.
10, la 11, and wo becomes 12. So this is
12.
a 12 syllable verse. Now, how do we remember how to recite what is the melody of a 12 syllable verse? So the name, technically the name of this verse is Indravamsha. The chanda used in this verse is Indravamsha. But I will give you a simple formula to remember those verses which have either 11 syllable or 12 syllable. Both are the melody is more or less the same. For example, if you remember a very famous verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, कार्पण्य दोषोपहता स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्म सम्मूढ़ चेतः. So do you remember which verse is this from Bhagavad Gita?
2.7.
2.7. Very nice, Prabhuji. So this is a verse from Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, seventh verse, where Arjuna actually, this is something like a turning point in Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna gives up his argumentation with Krishna. He feels helpless. He keeps aside his bow and arrow and surrenders to the Lord. So when there is a turning point in scriptures, then the meter changes. Before this verse, the meter was Anushtup, but after when this verse comes, the meter changes to this particular 11 syllable meter. So 11 syllable meter typically is known as Trishtup. There are other technical names also for 11 syllable meter, but the 11 syllable meter and 12 syllable meter are roughly pronounced or sung in a very similar way. So I will pronounce this, I will sing this verse, and you would see that it is very similar to Karpanya dosho pahata swabhava. तद्वाग्विसर्गो जनताघ विप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकमबद्धवत्यपि नामान्यनन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृणन्ति साधवः तद्वाग्विसर्गो जनताघ विप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकमबद्धवत्यपि नामान्यनन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृणन्ति साधवः. Like this. So any devotees from the group would like to try reciting this the way
Can
I
I try,
recited?
Prabhu?
Yes, Jivan Prabhu, please go ahead.
तद्वाग्विसर्गो जनताग विप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकम् अवदवति अपि नामानि अनन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवः.
Areva, very nice, Prabhu. Very nice. You more or less did it. Maybe one area where you could have improved is this particular place, Abadha Vatyapi. Abadha Vatyapi. So what you did was Abadha Vati Api. Then you are actually increasing one syllable in the recitation. So the meter will actually get a little disturbed there. So maybe you can try again, but this time please try to recite this Abadha Vatyapi.
Okay.
Hmm?
तद्वाग्विसर्गो जनताग विप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकम् अबधवत्यपि
Hmm.
नामानि अनन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवः.
Yes, very nice. Now this time here Namanya Anantasya, not Namani Anantasya. Namani Anantasya once again will include or increase
Okay,
one more
okay,
syllable.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Prabhu.
Namanya Anantasya Yashonkitaniat. Yashonkitaniat. So not Yasho Ankitani, Yashonkitaniat. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, please try once again.
तद्वाग्विसर्गो जनताग विप्लवो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकम् अबध्वत्यपि नामान्य अनन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि यत् शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवः.
Yeah, I think it was better, but I think you should after the class you please
I should
listen.
practice. I should
You will,
practice.
yeah, you practice the way I spoke it, and then you
Okay.
will pick it up. Okay. Now,
Okay.
anyone else would like to try? Any other devotee would like to try?
Prabhu, I can try.
Yes, Manish ji, please go ahead.
I can also like to try.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu.
Later
I
on.
will give.
Later
I
on.
will give you. Next turn is yours. Next turn is
Ji,
yours.
ji, thank you. Ji.
Okay. Yes, Manish ji, please go ahead.
तद्वद्विसर्गो जन्ताग्विपल्वो यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकमभिद्यवतीपि नामान्य अनन्तस्य यशोऽन्कितानि यत् श्रवन्ति गयन्ति गृह्णन्ति सद्वः.
Yeah, there is some scope of improvement in your pronunciation, Prabhuji. Please repeat with me. Please repeat with me. Tadvag visargo janatagha viplavo.
तद्वागविसर्गो जनताग्विपल्वो
Tadvag visargo janatagha viplavo.
तद्वागविसर्गो जनताग्विपल्वो
Janatagha viplavo. Plavo.
Okay, okay. तद्वाग्विसर्गो जनताग्विप्लवो.
Very nice. Yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi.
यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकम् अबध्यवतीपि
Yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi.
यस्मिन् प्रतिश्लोकम् अबध्यवतीपि
Abadhavatyapi.
अबध्यवत्तपि
Abadhavatyapi.
अबध्यवत्तपि
Abadhavatyapi.
अबध्यवत्तपि
Abadhavatyapi.
अबध्यवत्तपि
Vatyapi.
अबध्यवत्तपि
नामान्यनन्तस्य यशोऽङ्कितानि यत्
नामान्यनन्तस्य
यशोऽङ्कितानि यत्
यशोकिन्त्यानि यत्
यशोऽङ्कितानि यत्
यशोङ्कितानि यत्
Very nice. यशोऽङ्कितानि यत्
यशोङ्कितानि यत्
Very nice. शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति साधवः.
शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृह्णन्ति सद्वः.
साधवः.
साधवः.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
look at here. Sadhavaha. Okay,
Sadhavaha.
once more.
Yes.
Tadvag visargo janatagha viplavo.
Tadvag visargo janatag viplavo.
Yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi.
Yasmin pratishlokam
Namanyanantasya yashonkitani yat.
नामान्यनन्तस्य यशोऽन्वितानि यत्
शृण्वन्ति गायन्ति गृणन्ति साधवः.
श्रवन्ति गायन्ति गृणन्ति साधवः.
Yes, this time it was very good. I think you read the Devanagari better than
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Roman.
yeah,
So
correct, correct.
better learn the Sanskrit verses using the Devanagari. And in
Okay, okay,
case
Prabhu.
take help from the Roman script also, but I think
Yeah,
Devanagari you read much better. Yeah.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
Kartar Prabhuji, your turn, Prabhuji. Would you like to
Ji
try?
Guruji. Ji
Yes,
Guruji.
please. Please go ahead. Tadvag visa.
Tadvag
Yeah.
visargo jantag viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadavatapi namantyanantasya yasonikante yat Shrivanti Gayanti Granati Sadhava.
Yes, yes. So there is some scope for improvement in
Ji, ji,
Yashonkitani.
ji.
Yasho Ankitaniyat.
Yasho
Yashonkitani.
Ankitaniyat.
Yeah.
Yasho Ankitaniyat.
Yes. Okay. You can
Ji,
try once more. You can please try
ji.
once more.
Tadvag Visargo Janatag Vipallavo Yasmin Pratishlokam Abha Vatyapi Namani Ananta Yasho Nikantaniyat
Mhm.
Shri
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Shanvanti Gayanti Granati
Yeah.
Sadhava
Sadhava. So this word is
Sadhava
Yashonki. Yashonki. Shonki.
Ji
Yashonkitaniyat. Okay.
Yashonkitanyat
Yes. Yes. Okay. So
Yashonkitanyat.
okay. I
Thank you,
think
Guruji.
yes,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you.
Now we have done the recitation of the verse. I would like now to go pay some attention on the meaning of the individual words. So the next slide is on the meaning. So tatvak visargo janatagha viplavo. So this is the first line. Tad, that. Vak means vocabulary. Vak actually means voice. Like we say vak patu. Vak patu in Hindi means he's very competent with speech. So here vak means vocabulary. Visarga means creation. So creation of vocabulary actually means some literature. So that literature, uh, the people in general, Janata means people. Like we have Bharatiya Janata Party. So Janata is people. Agha means since. So Janata Agha. So that creation, that literature, which creates Viplava, which creates revolution in the life of people which are uh, in the sinful life of people. That literature which creates revolution in the sinful life of people. Tadvag visargo janatagha viplavo. That is the first line. Yasmin pratishlokam abadhavatyapi. Yasmin means in which. In that literature, pratishlokam means each and every verse, each and every stanza. Pratishlokam. Abadhavatyapi means it is not perfectly composed. It is actually composed in with irregularity. Composed means there is some grammatical mistake, there is some vocabulary, there is some misuse of some word, etc., etc. Although irregularly composed, every stanza, uh, namani anantasya shonkitani yat, but that literature speaks about nam, of whom? Anantasya. Anantasya means the infinite Lord, of the unlimited Lord. Yasho. Yasho means the Lord's glory. Ankitani means depicting. Ankit means we actually underline or underscore, or that is what Ankit means. Ankit means to depict. Ankitani yat. So, but that literature speaks about the name of the unlimited Lord, the glories of the unlimited Lord, and that kind of literature is Shrinavanti, heard, Gayanti, sung, and Grananti, accepted. By whom? By Sadhava, by the purified men. So, overall meaning is, although transcendental literature, which speaks about the name and glories of the unlimited Lord, is imperfectly composed, imperfectly written, but because it is talking about the transcendental glories of the Lord, it is spoken, it is sung, it is heard, it is enjoyed by the purified men, the pure men, the devotees of the Lord. So that is the meaning of the verse. So I hope we covered all the aspects. We covered the melody aspect, we covered the meaning aspect. Now, if you practice on this aspect, 2 3 aspects, then you will quickly remember this verse, a very important verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. So with that, we come to the end of our class. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much. So now, did we record this class? Yes. Okay. So I will stop the recording and we will move to our next class.